Everybody, how y'all doing today? I just wanted to come on here today just to kind of give y'all a little bit about me. I'm Sergeant First Class Price. I've been in the Army now for 20 years. Joined at the age of 17. Didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. So I decided to adventure in the Army. Okay? So I'm going to take y'all all the way back to, 1982. That's when I was born. It was 5 of us total, 5 kids. Mom, making minimum wages. Dad making decent money or whatever. But raising 5 kids back then, you wasn't ever going to be able to pay for them to go to school unless you already had money set aside for them, which they didn't. So fast forward to my 11th grade year over the summer. I was a pretty good, I felt like I was a track star in my opinion. But my grades were pretty decent. I had pretty good grades and everything like that. But my GPA was on point. But then I took the SAT. Now that was a totally different story. Okay. It wasn't really what scouts were looking for. So we're going to fast forward to that summer of 1999. 1999, that's the summer we're going to start with. And I got a letter in the mail from a college up in, I think it was in Rhode Island, of Bryant College. Bryant College, I found it was an Ivy League school. No clue. Being from South Carolina, to be honest with you, I had no clue where Rhode Island was. I'm just going to be honest with you because I ain't never left South Carolina other than going to New Jersey, visit family. Other than that, no clue. All right. But what I did was I reached out to the college. They were like, okay, we'll see what we can do for you. We plan on offering you a scholarship, but we're waiting on your SAT scores. I was like, okay, cool. So the SAT scores finally came in because I took it like right before school was out. So the SAT scores finally came in. So I reached back out to the specific scout that was reaching out to me. He said, hey man, that full scholarship that we were planning on giving you, we're not going to be able to do it. Now, best thing we can do for you is a partial scholarship. So I said, partial? What am I going to do with a partial scholarship? And at my school, our counselors was not the greatest. Hope they ain't throwing no shots at nobody, but our counselors were not the greatest. So therefore, I didn't really know a whole lot about the different financial aid and different things like that to assist with paying for school if I didn't get a full ride. So, a friend of mine, we were just riding around one day and we passed by the Army office. He had $5. I had nothing. He said, hey, brother, I bet you $5 you won't go in the Army recruiting office and go talk to him. I said, that's an easy $5, my friend. So, went inside, talked to him, gave him all my information. They said, hey, you 16 right now, you're not quite 17, so hey, we're going to reach back out to you when you're 17. I was like, okay, cool. Came back outside. Hey, showed my buddy the little paperwork I filled out. I said, hey, guy, look here. I did this. He said, all right. He said, this $5 yours. Hey, went and got something to eat, Went on from there. Fast forward, I think it was about 2 weeks before my 17th birthday. This is still the summer going into my senior year now. So the recruiter showed up at my house, knocked on the door. Said, yeah, we're looking for Mr. Price, Mr. Norman Price. I said, okay, hold on, let me go get my dad. So I went, got my dad. Said, hey, Dad, hey, I think the Army recruiters are out there trying to look for you. So my dad came to the door. The recruiter was like, yeah, I don't think we're looking for you, so I think we're looking for somebody a little bit younger. He said, oh, okay, you looking for my son. So my dad said, hey, come on back over to the door, son. I said, what's going on, Daddy? He said, yeah, you called the Army recruiters to come out here to talk to you. So they're here, so you're going to talk to them. So I just dropped my head. I said, oh, man. So he was like, yeah. He said, my wife will be home shortly. So if y'all want to talk, we can go ahead and talk then. So I was like, oh, man. So this is getting real. So The recruiters came, waited for my mom to come in. They came in and we were sitting down talking and everything. And when the recruiter was talking, I was pretty much tuning him out. I wasn't listening to anything he had to say. He was just talking. I was just looking around the room. And then he said something that stood out to me. He said, "We will pay for you to go to college." My eyes got big. I said, "So you telling me if I join the Army, you're going to pay for my college?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Okay, you can stop right here. That's the end." He said, "What you mean?" I said, "Hey, man, you telling me all I got to do is serve in the United States Army and you're going to pay for me to go to college?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "All right, let's start the paperwork." So my mom, dad, they looked at each other. With me being 16, I still wasn't 17 yet. So both of my parents had to give their consent for me to join. So, hey, my parents ended up signing off on the paperwork. And there I was. I ended up joining the Army Reserve starting out, the part-time Army option. Okay? Because I did have, like I said, I had aspirations to go into school to run track. That's all I wanted to do. So therefore, fast forward, now it's senior year. Okay, I'm like, hey man, we just won a state championship. You know what I mean? I'm like, why am I not getting no offers? So then I got a D1 offer. I was like, okay, bam, Virginia Tech. I said, I'm in the money. And then they said, where your SAT scores at, sir? I said, no problem. I said, I'll send them to you right now. I sent them to them. They said, hey, you only got an 880, son. What can we do with that? I said, but I got a 3.5 GPA. He said, yeah, but you got an 880 SAT score too. So I just sat there for a minute. I didn't really know what to say. So in my head, I'm like, man, I'm stuck with the Army Reserves. Because I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. But I had an older sister, Shout out to Kayshawn. I see you out there. Had an older sister, she was in the National Guard. So, that was my only glimpse of, military period that I had seen before. So I was like, okay, this can take care of me. So fast forward, I'm through my senior year. I felt like I performed pretty good in my senior year. So I'm like, man, I'm still not getting, I decided I wasn't going to take the SAT again. I was like, this is not going to happen. I scored an 880, it's just not going to get no better. So I left it at that. So there I was. July, matter of fact, it was graduated from high school in June 2000. Went, had some fun or whatever, over the weeks after I graduated from high school. I'm still waiting on offers. I'm like, get me out of this contract. Because I heard if you got a full scholarship, you can get out your contract. That did not happen. Okay? But like I said, I continued on. Then my graduation date came around. Waited. July, I think it was July the 10th. July the 10th, shipped out, headed out to basic training to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. That started my Army journey right there. I still remember getting out to Fort Sill, not having a clue of, exactly what is what. Had no idea. Nobody ever really had a conversation of what it was going to be like or anything, so I didn't know what to expect, so we got to Fort Sill, did some training or whatever out there, like doing the little in process. And, they was kind of coaching us up, telling us different things or whatever to get us started. And then after we've been there, I think for about 3 days, they took us to the rodeo. I was like, oh, this is about to be like band camp. I said, this is good. This football camp all over again. So, went to the rodeo. After that, they said, all right, tomorrow you guys are going to start prepping up to go across the train tracks. I said, across the train tracks? What is that? So there I was. They put us on some cattle trucks. Had us pack all our bags, Nobody told me not to bring 2-3 extra backpacks. So I had one of the little bags you pull with the little wheels on it. So I had one of those bags, a backpack, and I had the 2 or 3 duffel bags that the Army issued me. So there I was on the cattle trucks, back to back with 200 other people. So we got over there, and my world was shattered at that moment. So drill sergeants coming down the hill, screaming, yelling, get off the bus, get off the bus, get off the bus. And you know, I'm like I said, I'm 17. I ain't never left South Carolina other than with my parents. So I'm scared. You know what I mean? So we get off the buses, and guess who did a face plant? This guy. I got off the bus and rolled. And they said, get up, you know. So we getting up, running, carrying our bags. So we get out there to the little drill pad and everything like that. So that's all right. So they're telling us to put our bags this way, put our bag this way. We're like, all right, we got it right. Nah, absolutely not. Whatever we was doing that we thought was correct was absolutely wrong. Wrong 100%, you know. So, you know, we made it through that part. So later on that night, you know, we were in there. We were supposed to be bedding down, going to bed. They were like, all right. So since y'all don't want to be quiet, y'all don't want to go to sleep, we're going to take y'all to the beach. So, you know, I'm naive at this point now. I'm like, oh, wow. So they're going to take us to the beach. It's about 9 o'clock. Fort Sill, Oklahoma, right? They said they're going to take us to the beach. I was like, you know what? Let's go. Let's go to the beach. So they said, get your shower shoes and your towel. So we get our shower shoes, towel. They put us in a formation. You know, they marched us outside. You know, we went outside. Then they said, all right, welcome to the beach. So everybody's looking around, and it's just a big sand pit. And they literally made us do push-ups, crawl in the dirt, facing the dirt for about 45 minutes. And we came back inside and wasn't able to take no shower. They said, shake the sand off. You know, like I said, this was a long time ago. This was back in 2000, you know. But, you know, fast forward to the, you know, about a week later. So I'm down at the payphone, you know. They said, all right, you guys can make phone calls. So everybody else was making their phone calls. Everybody was done. But Private Price was still down there on the phone, telling his mama he want him to come pick her up. Want her to come pick him up. Down there just crying. Yeah, I cry. I do cry. Down there crying. And the drill sergeant, he peeked around the corner. He said, hey, Private, phone time is done. I say, but drill sergeant, I'm talking to my mama. He said, hey, Private, I'm your mama now. My eyes got big. I said, oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. So he said, but fast forward 2 more weeks after that, that same drill sergeant sat me down. He said, hey, Private. He said, I understand, you know what I mean? You find security in your mama, but guess what? He said, I'm your security now, and I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to train you, and I'm going to make sure you're a changed individual when you leave here. Hey, after he sat me down and had that conversation with me, hey, he had my trust. He had my trust at that point. So I completed basic training. You know what I mean? None of my family was able to make it to Fort Sill. You know what I mean? Out there. So, you know, that was unfortunate. But then I fast forwarded to my job training. I joined as a 92 Yankee unit supply specialist, Fort Lee, Virginia. Okay. That was a different experience for me. Very, very, very different. Because I was 18 by the time I got to my job training. I turned 18. I turned 18 in basic training. I made it to my job training, and this is like going back to school again. I wasn't really the best student, but I wasn't a dummy either. You know what I mean? But it was like going to school again. You know, so we had to sit in class, be attentive. You know what I mean? Then we had to take some of the things that we learned in the books, and then turn around and apply. I ain't really too good with applying, you know what I mean, stuff that I've learned, you know what I mean? And, you know, so that's, yeah. But completed training, you know, completed my job training. You know, I didn't graduate with no honors or anything like that, but I completed all my required tasks. You know, I would have wished I would have been able to do that, but I didn't. And while we were there in training, they actually gave individuals the opportunity to go active duty. But me, You know, I had a little girlfriend or whatever at the time, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna stay with the reserves or whatever. And then by the time I got back home, that relationship was done anyway. You know, so I could have switched over and went active at that time. You know what I mean? But like I said, I chose not to. Then fast forward, you know what I mean? Training over. You know, came back home. Wasn't really doing too much with my life. I was supposed to be going to college when I got back home, but I guess what y'all call it a gap year. I guess I took a gap year, basically. Came back home, wasn't doing absolutely nothing, so I went to stay with my sister for like, I guess about 3 months. Couldn't find a job, so I was you know, looking through the classified ads, and then there it was. It just stuck out to me. It said, are you an entrepreneur? I said, absolutely. So went to the company. They said, hey, are you driven? I was like, absolutely, I'm driven. They said, okay, we're gonna put you to work. I said, all right. They said, all right, can you sell this dartboard? I was like, a dartboard? They was like, yes, can you sell this dartboard? I was like, yes. So they gave me a box with teddy bears and dartboards, and I had to walk around from business to business selling these teddy bears and dartboards. Are you serious? So I did that for about 3 days. That was it. That was a wrap on that. Then I went to got another job at a what was it? It's telemarketer. So showed up at the job. It was a building, didn't have no building numbers on it. No numbers on the building or anything like that. We were just inside. It was just a whole bunch of desks and a whole bunch of phones. They gave us a list, and they just said start calling. So we calling. We trying to sell people vacations, sell them trips and everything like that. And I said this. I didn't sign up for this. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. So after that, I said, hey sir, this is not what you told me that I was gonna be doing when I came here. He said, well, you want to get paid, right? I was like, well, not this bad, sir. I said, I said, thank you for the opportunity, but I'm not coming back. He was like, okay. So you fast forward a month and a half. I'm at my sister's house, sleeping on my sister's couch with no job. She go to work. I drop her off at work, borrow her car. That got old real fast. So she said, hey, I love you, Dontrell, but you got to go back to mama's house. I was like, God, dog. So she sent me packing, sent me on back to Lamar. So I'm back in Lamar. So guess what? I came back to Lamar, me and my buddy, man, rest in peace, Jared. I was at my buddy's house, man, and his parents, his mom and his dad, they were in there talking to us. They said, hey, Norm, what you doing with your life right now? I said, I'm in between jobs. So basically, you ain't got no job. You don't have a job, son. I said, okay. And then I was like, I'm in the Army Reserves. And his stepdad looked at me. He was like, Army. He said, nothing about you don't say Army. So something ain't right. I was like, oh, Lord. Whew. I said, okay. So fast forward, you know, I think about a month or so later, we had another conversation, me and his mom. She was like, hey, I really want y'all to do something with y'all life or whatever. And I was like, hey, you know what? I said, come January, this is January, I think, 2002. I was like, I'm going to go to college. You know, I'm going to go to college. So I decided to go to college. You know, what I went in the reserve, that was the reason I joined the reserves. I wanted to go to college. So I decided to go to college. Went to college. That ain't really go too good. I went for about I went my first semester. I thought I was doing okay. But I didn't know how to study. Didn't know how to study at all. You know, so when everybody was in their study groups or whatever, I guess I was ashamed to go get in study groups or whatever. So I was just doing it on my own, and after the first semester, I think my GPA was like 1.5. You know what I mean? That's not that high. So they put me on probation 1. Okay, came back the next semester. I was like, you know what? I got it this time. I can do this. I can do this. So in school again, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm focused this time. I'm going to make a change. I didn't make a change. It was I think that semester my GPA was like 1.2. Like 1.2. It was like, hey, Mr. Price, I know you was trying to run track or whatever, but you got to find yourself something else to do because this ain't going to work for you. So fast forward, they put me on probation 2. So fast forward to my 3rd semester, I was like, you know what? I got it this time. I got it together. You know what I mean? I didn't have it together. Not at all. I was terrible. It was to the point where I dropped all my classes and I literally just walk around campus with a backpack on my back, doing absolutely nothing. So long story short, I got put on probation 3, and that was it. They took my financial aid away from me, dismissed me, told me I had to go find me something else to go to another college or whatever until I got my GPA up, and then I could potentially come back. But at that point, my spirits were broken. All right, so I left. Then I started working at a bank. I've pretty much done anything you can think of. I've done it. I've worked at a milk factory. I worked at a daggone making stockings. You name it, I've done it. You know. But then, like I said, I started working at the bank. Worked at the bank for a good bit. And then my reserve unit, we got mobilized. We were supposed to go down range and everything like that. Go to I think it was Iraq at the time because it was like 04. I was supposed to go to Iraq, but we ended up not going to Iraq, and we just stayed at Fort Bliss. So, you know, I did a year down there in El Paso. Then after that, came back home 05, and I, you know, didn't have a job. I drew unemployment for about I think about 6 months. Hey, and then after that, unemployment ran out, so I had to come up with a plan. I was like, all right, I'm in the reserves right now. Might as well go active. So my reserve unit was like, nah, partner, you don't even show up for drill, so how are we going to release you? They were like, you show up for drill 2 months in a row, then we'll sign your release papers. I was like, okay, no problem. Showed up those consecutive months, they signed off my release papers. September 2000 and what was that? September 2005, I went active duty. Changed my entire life. Changed my life. When I tell y'all my life was in shambles in 2005, I was at my lowest point probably in my life. I didn't have anything going for myself. I ain't had a car. I had a car, but guess what? I sold my car because I wasn't making no more money. So I sold my car. I'm saying it was a nice car, had rims on it, the whole nine. Guess what? I sold that joker for $1,200 just to get the money because I had no bread. Okay? But like I said, September 2005, I went active duty. Hey, you know, it's some things, like I said, some things that, you know, occurred during that time and everything like that, you know, that probably kind of shaped things too. But hey, I made that decision and I haven't looked back since. And I've been on active duty now for, 15 years. Okay? Yeah, like I said, I get paid for 20 years. I get paid for 20 years, but when it comes to retirement purposes, I'm only at 50. Well, I'm at 16 because I get credit for that other time too. But you just got to realize, hey, sometimes you got to make those sacrifices and get outside of your comfort zone. Okay? Because, hey, like I tell people, if you want to make changes, sometimes you got to change people, places, and things. If you're willing to daggone change those 3 things, then you can see a change in your life. Okay? And like me, I'm not going to say that I had like a whole lot of substance problems or whatever like that. But hey, you know, people do go through different phases and different changes in their lives at certain times. You know what I mean? And, you know, everybody knows I lost my mom over a year ago. And one thing my mom always told me was, hey, son, make something out yourself. And hey, that's all I can ask of you, you know. So I ain't gonna stay on here too long. But anybody who's like going through a struggle, you know what I mean, or going through something, man, hey, always reach out to somebody, talk to somebody, because people are willing to listen, okay? And I know people look at me as just being a recruiter or whatever. Trust me, you can ask anybody that work with me. I'm more than just a recruiter, because at the end of the day, it's big for me. It's bigger than the Army. You know, it's about helping somebody, you know what I mean, coaching them, mentoring them, helping them to try to get where they're trying to go. Even if they decide they don't want to join the Army, that's okay with me. But we still can just talk about how you can be successful in life, period. Okay? And hey, I want to give a shout out while I'm on here too. I don't know if she's on this live or not, but I want to give a shout out to Coach Daniels at North Springs. I've watched Coach Daniels in person do things that I see counselors, things that I wish my counselors would have done when I was in school. You know what I mean? She's putting so much information and giving kids so many different opportunities to be successful. It's crazy. It's crazy. You know what I mean? Shout out to Coach Daniels though. But like I said, thank y'all for tuning in. I ain't gonna talk too much longer. I ain't really a talker like that. But if somebody is on the fence of kind of trying to determine what they want to do in their life, man, hey, if you want to get a good solid foundation to build off of, the Army is definitely the way to go. You know, even if you decide to do reserves or full-time active, you know what I mean? It's your choice. But like I said, the Army changed my life, and it can do the same for you. Peace out.